years of brief celebrity, dull instruction, and finally private tragedy. But now the Reichsführer-SS had somehow taken notice. Here was the hinge of Raeder's life. So the young professor had put on the Schutzstaffel uniform with its runic insignia, both proud and self-conscious. When his faculty colleague Gosling spied him from a cafe and joked about it, the zoologist managed the good humor to shrug. Even scholars have to eat. Life, the Nazis preached, was struggle. Raeder knew he cut a fine SS figure. Brown hair, a shade too dark to be ideal, perhaps, but handsome and fit from his explorations. Erect, wiry, what a German youth might wish to be. The new man, the Aryan prototype. Crack shot, alpinist, university scholar, hunter, author, and scientist for the Third Reich. Lotte's death had not been publicized out of deference to his achievements. His self-doubt he kept to himself. Almost unconsciously, Berliners swerved around his uniform on the crowded Wilhelmstrasse, a caution he accepted as normal. The SS was not to be loved, Himmler had preached. But Untersturmführer Kurt Raeder, adventurer. His resolute gaze had been in magazines. Women swept by him and peeked. Pedestrians thinned as he walked past the sterile, massive headquarters of Goering's new air ministry, the power of the Luftwaffe implied by its modernist bulk. And then thinned still more as he turned left onto Prince Albrechtstrasse and arrived at number 8, the most notorious address in Nazi Germany. Here was the home of the Reich Security Ministry, which included the SS and Gestapo. Next door was number 9, the Prince Albrecht Palais Hotel, also subsumed by the growing security bureaucracy. To Raeder's eye, the home of the police was a more inviting structure than the plain severity of Goering's headquarters. With classical arched entry and Renaissance styling, the SS buildings harkened back to the more refined 19th century. Only the black-clad sentries who flanked the door hinted at its new purpose. There were rumors of Gestapo cells in the basement. There were always rumors, everywhere, of the very worst things. This was good, Raeder believed. Menace promised security to those who followed the rules. None could deny the Nazis had brought order out of chaos. While the democracies were flailing, the totalitarian models, Germany, Italy, Spain, Japan, were on the rise. This building was the fist of the future. Raeder's future. There was a hush inside, like a church. A grand stairway with thick balustrade, steps carpeted in red plush like a movie palace, led up a flight to a vaulted entry hall. The only decorations were 3 hanging swastika flags and busts of Hitler and Goering. Public depictions of Himmler were rare. His power was his air of mystery. Bare wooden benches as uncomfortable as pews lined one side of the waiting area, glacial light filtering in from arched frosted windows. At the far end, 3 steps led to another entry, like an altar, Raeder thought, continuing the church analogy, with black-clad guards presiding instead of black-robed priests. Himmler had modeled his elite on the Jesuits, and SS zeal on the discipline of the Inquisition. Raeder's credentials were checked, and he was admitted to a more private reception area, the offices beyond barricaded by a massive counter of dark-stained oak, stout as a dam. Now a more thorough check, this time by a blonde-headed Nordic guard of the type the SS put on its posters. The officer scrutinized his insignia skeptically. An Untersturmführer to see the Reichsführer? Raeder showed the letter that had summoned the SS lieutenant from his residence in the respectable Wilmersdorf district, the apartment haunted now since Lotte's death. The Reichsführer expects all ranks to serve. The comment drew no reaction from a man with the expressiveness of a robot. Wait. The explorer stood stiffly as the orderly spoke into a telephone and then returned it to its cradle. The guard didn't bother to look at Raeder again. Long minutes passed. Raeder could hear the faint clack of heels on tile, the cricket murmur of typewriter keys and code machines, the rumble of wooden file drawers sliding out and slamming home. Each